In the beginning, there was nothing. A tiny, spinning speck of nothing. Tinier than the tiniest speck of nothing you can imagine. And this speck was spinning about an axis of nothingness, in an infinite space of nothingness. Steadily, the speed of this particle spin increased until it was spinning infinitely fast in this infinite nothingness. And then, blam! It explodes into the nothingness, spreading out nothingness into nothingness at infinite speed. From this explosion of nothing into a medium of nothing, moving at infinite speed on its journey to nowhere, we get all the matter in the universe. Nothingness magically coalesces into atoms and molecules, which then clump together to become galaxies and stars and planets. And even though this nothingness that is somehow also everything started out travelling faster than light, the speed of light is constant. As I mentioned in a previous video, atheists demand that the speed of light be constant to support their cosmology, even though there's loads of evidence to the contrary. But then they simultaneously claim the speed of light was a lot faster in the early universe. So let's get this straight. Atheists laugh when creationists claim that the speed of light was faster in the past because they believe that c must be constant. But atheists also think the speed of light in the early universe must have been much faster to allow for the expansion they claim we see today. You just can't make this stuff up, can you? Moving on a bit, once we have these big clumps of matter that coalesced out of the expansion of nothing, in one insignificant corner of this nothing that was suddenly quite a lot of something, we find the Earth. For millions and millions of years, the surface of the Earth was basically just rocks and some water splashing about the place, and then one day, poof, a wet rock magically gives birth to the first life form. Some atheists claim that this rock had to have been struck by lightning first to supply the energy, but to be honest, this is just too silly to countenance. Anyway, the first life form, consisting of a single cell, like a bacteria or an amoeba or something, was bored and alone. It decided it wanted a friend, so it learns how to split itself in half, at which point you have two life forms. Eventually, after many generations of splitting, they have enough of themselves to assemble themselves into, say, the first fish. Where atheists think these little critters got the blueprint for a fish, I don't know, but they absolutely detest the idea that an intelligent god could have done it. But this fish had a problem. It couldn't split itself in half and reproduce like the other life forms. That would just create two splatty messes of fish guts, so it had to invent a way to make more of itself another way. Being quite a clever creature, it invented the egg, and sexual reproduction was born. Fantastic. And so the cycle continues. This highly clever fish decides it's bored of splashing about in the ocean and realises it wants to go live on land, but to do this, it'll need hands and feet. After a quick brainstorming session and a committee decision with all the other fish, it crawls out of the sea, onto land, working out how to breathe air along the way. Somehow. Isn't it funny how modern fish aren't clever enough to do the same? Maybe evolution made fish more stupid over time. It certainly seems to have had that effect on atheists. So then, this fish, with its newly invented lungs and hands and feet, is wandering about on land one day, and it suddenly realises that it should grow bigger and start eating other hand-foot-lung fishes. And now suddenly we have a T-Rex and Stegosaurus and Velociraptors. Awesome! After a very long time, these new carnivorous hand-foot-lung fishes ruling the land, a huge space rock hits the Earth and kills them all, apart from the ones it strangely didn't. Very specific there, atheists. Thanks for that. These unspecified survivors of the hand-foot-lung fishes eventually work out that warm blood and standing upright are pretty nifty inventions, even though this takes about 65 million years, and it's not like these are any more complicated than hands, feet, or lungs. Maybe they just didn't bother, because being a cold-blooded quadrupedal hand-foot-lung fish made them happy or something. But eventually it happens. The Earth suddenly has a population of furry, warm-blooded, bipedal, hand-foot-lung fish, and despite having hands and feet for 300 million years, they suddenly work out that they can pick up sticks and rocks and make fire in houses. Thus, humans and human technology are born. Evolution claims humans are nothing but warm-blooded, furry, bipedal, hand-feet lungfish that can use tools. Makes perfect sense, doesn't it? All of the empty millions of years in between the stages of development of hands, feet, eyes, ears, lungs, fur, and the biped frame are just sort of there. No explanation. Brilliant. And, well, back to the real world. Evolution is very silly, has no factual evidence to back it up, and in short, it's impossible. Empirically, we can demonstrate the very evident design of every living thing by the loving God of the Bible. By contrast, we've never observed any creature just spontaneously rebuilding bits of itself to invent new features. Why, the whole idea is totally laughable. And yet this is the bilge atheists are determined that we teach to impressionable young minds in schools. Is it any wonder our kids seem to be growing stupider with every passing generation? Anyway, I hope this has illustrated the monstrous anti-intellectual, anti-scriptural, and anti-science latrine that is the theory of evolution. That's all I have time for today. Until I return, go with God. Thank you.